There has always been a discussion about whether grade point averages matters, or does having a high GPA in college correlate to your ability to gain a job. There is the stigma that the people with low GPAs won't be able to gain a job because it reflects on their work ethic.
My GPA in college was, I think it was like a 3.8, I'd assume. I know it's lower than when I was in high school, because in high school it was like a 4.0 because it was like overweighted.
So my GPA once I graduated from college was a 3.4 or something.
It was a 3.8 something, 3.8, I don't know, almost a 3.9. For some reason, I better round down instead of up because I'm humble like that.
I actually started looking for teaching positions in schools, but the Philadelphia School District was like doing a hiring freeze, so there wasn't a lot of positions open, especially for social studies. So I started looking elsewhere, but then I was asked to keep teaching at Temple for the class that I had currently been teaching in the journalism department. So I was kind of in a good position where I got to look for what I really wanted, because I had a job doing that and I also freelanced as a photographer. So I kind of had the ability over the next year to really like look for what I wanted to. So it wasn't for another year and a half really till I got my job.
So once I graduated, I probably started looking for jobs during my last semester of school, get a head start on it. And it felt like it took forever. Like every time I tell people, I'm like, oh, it took me forever. It took me 3 months to get a job out of school. People they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, 3 months? That's great. And I say, yeah, well, it seemed like it took forever to me, but I put in a lot of applications. I went to a whole lot of job fairs. And the one thing I guess also is I also turned down some jobs during that point, which probably a lot of people don't get the chance to do. But I graduated like right before the financial sector of the world went crazy. So I got lucky in that sense as well, I guess.
I think that you could probably ask my boss. That is. I will say this: that the first job I worked for, they were specifically looking just for like smart kids. Like, they just wanted like kind of bookish, smart kids, and I think that it was really helpful there. I think here I already had, because like really pretty much after that job, like this is where I've been working since. They were looking for, I think still a smart person, but I had some work experience also. I think when you're first out of college, like, what do you have? You have a transcript. Internships. I didn't really have internships. Like, people did them. I had like maybe one, but it wasn't like the kind of pressure to have internships that exists now. So it was kind of like the GPA was all you really had to show for yourself.
So all the jobs I've ever had, even most of the ones in college, so where I was an adjunct instructor, my GPA really didn't matter. It was more like how I was doing in that class to help teach the class. So the professor asked me to help teach it because of my proficiency in the course. Obviously, I was getting an A in the class to be able to be hired for that. So I was obviously doing good, but that had nothing to do with my GPA.
I have not been through, I guess, a lot of interviews in a sense, because I've been at one job for 8 years, and the other jobs I sort of just fell into. But not ever once was my GPA, brought up in conversation. The one thing I'm trying to think if I did, which a lot of kids do or students do from college, you don't have working experience in a sense. You put everything on your resume that you can to look good, right? So I put, my college. I can't remember if I put my GPA on there, but a lot of times I had like this careers class. It said if you had anything below like a 3.5 or 3 something, don't put it on there because it doesn't mean anything. So a lot of kids, students will put their GPA on their resumes to try to boost them up because they don't have a lot of working experience. But I think I don't think I put mine on there, but I put like my honors that I graduated with, because I needed anything I could to like, you know, try to get a job, because I didn't have much work experience.
I will say this, that when I'm hiring interns, you know, they're sort of in the same boat that I was, where they don't have much else besides their GPA, and I look at it for sure. You know, if someone's got a really high GPA, I'm like, all right, you know, that person is, they're pretty good at doing what they set out to do. You know, it's like it's a good barometer for, I think, how successful they are at that task. You know, it's the only task that's in front of them. You don't have a lot to go on. I think when I'm hiring for like an actual instructor, I'm looking much more for experience. You know, has this person made videos, and has this person worked with young people? You know, I think the further you get in your career, the less important college is.
So I think GPA is important because so I think GPA is important in my case because I was in a 5-year accelerated degree program. So when I got accepted into the program in my second year in college, they really looked at my GPA and my overall academics to get me into this accelerated degree program. A lot of people have to have a certain GPA to get into grad school, but I was exempted because of my grades and how I was doing. So I didn't have to take the GREs, which is something that you have to do when you go into grad school. They look at that as well as your GPA. Another thing is it might help you with scholarships, something that I actually did not get really that much of. So I think GPA is important in that sense.
I wouldn't say that GPAs mean nothing, right? If you go through college, you're like, I got a 1.5 GPA. You're probably gonna be out of college soon, because GPA is the equivalent of how well you're technically doing in college. And I guess I say technically because I mean the system is the way the system is sort of built. If you did everything in college, you work your hardest. That's really all people ask for. If you work your hardest, you pass the class, you learn things that you didn't know before. That's all that really matters. You shouldn't worry about what someone above you sort of has. You should just worry about yourself. Be proud that you're learning new things, that you're getting through, the classes. And like I said, if you work your hardest and all you get is a 2.5, or if you work yourself and get a 2.5, that's fine. You don't have to, compare yourself to anybody. As long as you know you're doing your best and your hardest, you should be happy.